Lost Gotham TV. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing Funland. Now, for many people, Funland is their favorite Richard Laymon book. And I would say that that is definitely justified. It is a very good book of Laymon's. It's right on the edge of being one of my favorites. It doesn't have all of the subtle little hints and notes of other books like Island or One Rainy Night or Midnight's Lair. The ones that are my favorite, those ones have subtle little things in them that make them more personal to me. And so Funland doesn't have those things that really hammer home that it is a favorite of mine, but I can definitely acknowledge it is a solid book. It has that element that I've talked about in other videos of groups of people having to come together, those ensemble cast of characters where they have to come together, work together to survive in a situation. And so it has some of that in here. And, you know, things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where you have your Scooby Gang, you have your group of friends or acquaintances. And, you know, it also makes me think of things like Lost Boys, where you have the Frog Brothers and Sam coming in and trying to, you know, forming a group with them against something. And so the Lost Boys is actually a good kind of thing to compare Funland to, I think, because whilst it has nothing to do with vampires, it does have to do with that seaside town, Santa Carla. In Funland, it's, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Boleta Bay? Boleta? Let me know in the comments below how I should be pronouncing it. But Boleta Bay. And they've got the boardwalk, they've got the Ferris wheels and all of the typical attractions and things, much like the boardwalk in Lost Boys. And so there are some similarities. You have your groups of teenage kids hanging around after dark and doing stuff. And so there's a lot of similarities. And so I did feel quite drawn to this when I first read it. I think it lost me a little bit towards the end. Some of the things that happened towards the end, I enjoyed them reading it again here recently, but still it just didn't have the kind of the magical ring, the little spark, the it factor that really made it perfect for me. So the flaws in it hold it back from being one of my true favorites. But it is a solid book, a solid read, very entertaining. As thick as it is, it's very easy to read through. You've got fun characters, lots of action going on, a little bit of sex, lots of violence, and creative storytelling. You know, the cheesy, over-the-top, weird, bizarro stuff. You know, it's not as out there as Trauma, maybe, but it's quirky and entertaining and weird. And again, if you like Laymon's books, you should love this book because it has all of those important hallmarks of Laymon's writing. And I think I mentioned in the video for One Rainy Night, in my research for looking at things, Funland is another book I'd like to have some foreign copies of. So I have maybe one or two copies like this. I have the deluxe edition that just came out a little while ago. And there are some really fun covers. So you'll see in the slideshow at the end of the video some really cool covers for that book from around the world. and they're definitely on my list of things to get. I don't have very many foreign language books of Laymon's, simply because English is the only language that I speak and read well. So I'm hesitant to invest money in a book that, in one way, I'll never read, but in another way, I've already read multiple times. So with things like A Stranger's Arms, the kind of the unicorn of Richard Laymon books, that's a little different because it's so rare. It is still so weird to me that at this point I found at least 3 versions of the book in foreign languages that I have been able to purchase. But you can't find it in English, which was its original language of publication. I don't understand that. That is so weird to me, and the quest continues. But anyway, to bring things back to where we were, teenagers, sex, violence, the boardwalk after dark, trolling. Okay, what they're doing is trolling. They are attacking homeless people that they call trolls. And it seems very timely. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or not, but the last couple of years there's been so much talk in the news about homelessness on the rise. And my wife actually worked for a homeless center for a while in California. And so we were able to have an inside look at homelessness and some of the causes and some of the remedies and the limitations that are involved trying to get back on your feet as a homeless person, the mental problems that people have, and the issues, the barriers that creates in terms of getting back on medication, getting back on your feet, getting back into a regular, quote-unquote, normal life of having a 9-to-5 job, a roof over your head. And so there is a little bit of personal interest in the book from that point of view for me. But it's interesting that, this book came out in 1990 and maybe even 89. Maybe it's 89, 90. And just all this time later, 29, 30 years later, and homelessness is still a problem, and potentially even more of a problem than it was then. And so it's interesting and timely, I think. So if you haven't, this might be a good time to pick up Richard Laymon's Funland. It's a fun read. It's entertaining. There's so much going on in it. You won't be disappointed. It's a solid read. Okay, time to let you go. Don't forget to come back. I will see you next time.